I've struggled with anxiety for pretty much my entire life, but it was really bad when I was in college. I would wake up every morning around 7 a.m. to get ready for class, but by 7:03 my heart would start racing, I'd feel hot and sweaty, and I'd have this overwhelming urge to escape. By 7:15, I would be sitting in my car crying because I had to go to class. This pattern continued every day for years, and it was so debilitating that I ended up dropping out of college before graduating. For many years after this, I felt like there was something wrong with me. I hated myself for being weak and not being able to succeed in school. I didn't understand why I couldn't just power through and get it done. And the worst part was that no one else seemed to understand what I was going through. But now things are very different. I run a multi-million-dollar business from my home office, and I haven't experienced anxiety in probably the last 5 or 6 years. In today's video, I want to talk about exactly what happened and what actually helped. The first thing I need to make clear is that this isn't some magical cure or silver bullet. There isn't a single thing you can do to remove all anxiety from your life. But these tips did help me immensely, and they might help you too. So if that sounds interesting, let's jump into it. One of the most important things that finally helped me overcome anxiety was realizing that it was completely normal. You see, for most of my life, I had convinced myself that I was defective. Something was wrong with me. The way other people saw me as successful and happy didn't match up with how I felt inside. For this reason, I tried to hide my anxiety from everyone. I acted like everything was fine even though behind the scenes I was crumbling apart. Looking back, I think that this level of secrecy only made things worse. It created this huge gap between how I appeared and how I felt. After doing some digging online, I came across a few studies that revealed some startling data. According to the American Institute of Stress, nearly 20% of Americans suffer from some form of anxiety disorder. Additionally, research from the University of Washington found that over 50% of students feel so anxious about performing well academically that it negatively affects their mental health. I realized that my experience was not unique to me and that millions of other people dealt with this too. It was incredibly comforting to know that I wasn't defective. It also opened my eyes to the fact that there were probably others who understood exactly what I was going through. All I had to do was find them. While going through therapy, I learned that anxiety is basically an amplified sense of awareness. It kicks in whenever it perceives a threat and triggers a response that prepares you to fight or flight. Back in the caveman days, this was useful because it forced us to focus on whatever animal was trying to eat us so we could either fight it off or run away. However, nowadays, this system can become triggered by everyday stressors like public speaking, social interactions, and even mundane tasks like making breakfast. When we feel anxious, our body releases chemicals such as adrenaline and cortisol that cause physical symptoms like a racing heartbeat, sweating, and difficulty breathing. This is great if a lion is chasing you, but not so great if you're just giving a presentation at work. For me, the biggest problem was that I didn't know how to control this response. My fight or flight system would kick in at the most inconvenient times, like when I was driving to school or sitting in class. I'd feel this overwhelming urge to escape, but I couldn't just get up and leave without drawing attention to myself. This internal conflict was extremely uncomfortable and caused a lot of distress. It wasn't until I learned how to recognize the signs of anxiety and understand what was happening in my brain that I was able to take control back. According to the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, there are 4 main types of anxiety disorders: generalized anxiety, social anxiety, panic disorder, and specific phobias. After reading about each of these, I realized that I had a combination of social anxiety and generalized anxiety. Social anxiety is characterized by an intense fear of social situations where the person fears that they will be judged or humiliated by others. Meanwhile, generalized anxiety is an excessive worry about everyday things that is difficult to control. I knew that these labels didn't define me as a person, but they did provide a helpful framework for understanding my symptoms and finding potential solutions. From here, I started to experiment with a few techniques that are commonly used to alleviate anxiety. First, I tried meditation and mindfulness exercises. Meditation involves training your mind to focus on the present moment without judgment. This can be challenging at first, but over time, it helps you develop a greater awareness of your thoughts and feelings. Mindfulness exercises involve paying attention to your surroundings and engaging your senses. Both of these techniques were helpful for me because they forced me to focus on the present moment rather than worry about the future. When I noticed myself slipping into anxious thoughts, I would bring my attention back to my breath or to the physical sensations around me. While these practices didn't completely eliminate my anxiety, they did make it easier to manage. Another effective strategy was establishing a daily routine. Having a consistent routine provided a sense of stability and predictability, which helped me feel more in control of my life. I discovered that I functioned best when I got plenty of sleep, ate healthy foods, and exercised regularly. Each of these activities had a calming effect on my body and mind that helped reduce my overall stress levels. Sleep, in particular, was crucial for managing my anxiety. Numerous studies have shown that sleep deprivation can exacerbate anxiety symptoms. On the other hand, getting enough rest can help regulate the body's stress response system. I discovered that by prioritizing sleep and creating a relaxing bedtime routine, I was able to wake up feeling more refreshed and better equipped to handle any challenges that came my way. While these strategies were helpful, I still struggled with intense bouts of anxiety, especially in social situations. It wasn't until I sought professional help that I really started to make progress. A therapist helped me explore the underlying causes of my anxiety and develop coping mechanisms that worked for me. Through therapy, I learned that much of my anxiety stemmed from childhood experiences where I had developed negative thought patterns and beliefs about myself. These patterns had a significant impact on my adult life and were contributing to my ongoing struggles with anxiety. With the guidance of a therapist, I began to challenge these negative thoughts and replace them with more positive and realistic ones. This process was challenging, but over time I started to notice a shift in my thinking. Instead of automatically assuming the worst in every situation, I began to consider alternative perspectives and challenge my own biases. This newfound ability to be more flexible in my thinking gave me more control over my emotional state and reduced the severity and frequency of my anxiety attacks. Another breakthrough came when I started keeping a journal. Writing down my thoughts and feelings helped me process my emotions and gain clarity in situations that were causing me stress. It was also helpful to look back on previous entries and see how far I had come since then. Every time I felt anxious, I would ask myself, will I feel this way 1 year from now? Will this matter in 5 years? Almost always the answer was no. This helped me put my worries into perspective and reminded me not to take things too seriously. Anxiety is a common experience that affects millions of people worldwide. It's important to remember that you're not alone and that there is help available. By educating ourselves about anxiety, practicing self-care, seeking professional help, and challenging negative thought patterns, we can learn to manage our anxiety and live fulfilling lives. Remember that progress takes time, and that setbacks are a normal part of the journey. Be patient with yourself and celebrate your successes along the way. If you found this video helpful, please don't hesitate to share it with others who might benefit from it. Your support means everything to me. Thank you for watching and take care. And take